the list of secondary agencies that's reporting information on a consumer?
Yes, these are the data bureaus that I discovered from responding to declination letters that clients that we had been working with had received. And I sent a legal demand letter to these companies asking them who were their affiliates and subsidiaries. On all declination letters, you'll see that disclosure statement that says our decision was based not in whole but in part on information obtained from Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, and information obtained from our affiliates and subsidiaries. And these are the specific companies related to the bankers and lenders that they consult outside of Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. So they're not just general data bureaus. They're the specific companies that the creditors actually consult.
So, for example, like early warning services. So you mean to tell me early warning services has also affiliates and other companies that you have access to that could be reporting information on me that I could send legal demand letters or send dispute letters to be able to get this information off of me to prevent adverse action?
Yes, that's a real good question. The companies that are the affiliates and subsidiaries do also consult with other companies, just like Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion consults with the affiliates and subsidiaries, right? So, yes, these companies also consult with other companies because they're trying to make their database as comprehensive as possible, all right? And the way they get this information, all right, is it's an API, which is just one of their software integrations with their CRM. So, for instance, when you go to a property management company to get a preferred community approval, say you want to live in Beverly Hills, right? And the property manager, how is it that they take a credit application and then pull your credit report, but also instantaneously pull your background report? Yeah, because they have... Yes, through that API, which is the property managers know that they don't want to move in people that have criminal records or are sex offenders, so that industry has already created a data bureau relationship that they can tick a box. We want to pull the Equifax report, and then they can tick another box in, and we want to pull the background report, and when they hit submit, they get both reports instantaneously, and then they decline you because you have a criminal record, not because you have a 800 credit score and never been evicted and can make 4 times the rent. They'll tell you, I'm sorry, but you can't move in because you have a background challenge, right? So all the data bureaus are associated with one of the industries that prefer to review the information that they have. And it's related to the 5 C's of credit, not the 5 factors of your FICO score.
Right. Okay.
Ask me another tough question. I like the way you're questioning me. Come on.
What are the 5 C's of credit?
Okay, so now the 5 C's of credit are character, capacity, collateral, capital, and conditions. Now, the way this works, you have the credit bureaus that have a credit report that gives you a FICO score that 95% of bankers, lenders, and credit issuers prefer to review, FICO, right? And on the mirror side of that, which is in the hidden background that the bankers and lenders and underwriters look at that they don't share with the public domain. And that's why they don't allow you to speak to underwriters. This is the information that they look at to keep you honest because they know you do credit repair. You're all over the internet saying debt validation letters, 609 letters, FTC complaints, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau complaints, and they smile because they think that you think you're hoodwinking them. But they then have these data bureaus in the background that are not regulated by the Fair Credit Reporting Act or the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, so the information stays on those reports forever. There is no credit repair on those. So they have data bureaus that they give data reports that gives another scoring system that determines your credit limits. All right, now once we get finished your questioning, I'm going to take you and your mother real high on some of the specialized knowledge that very few know. Now, so when you get these data reports, they are specific. Oh, you got to go, Mama? Oh, man.
No, stay there.
Who's going to keep me honest if you ain't with your daughter? You got to keep me honest.
Yep.
All right, okay, all right. So these data reports are prescribed by the bankers, lenders, and credit issuers to their specific industry that's related to one of the 5 C's. So we already discussed that the property management companies like to look at which data reports? Character reports that are for background. And then the second C is capacity. Capacity is just a fancy word for employment history. Well, all bankers and lenders like to look at employment history, but how do they verify it? They no longer call your employer. They no longer send verification of employment letters because they use a data bureau called the work number that shares every job you've ever had in your life, how much you get paid weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, and your last pay period, what you got paid. So they don't need to call the employer. And then the third C, collateral. How is it that a banker or lender finds out your net worth or the assets you own, which is collateral, when they do a credit application? They look at the reports that give public records, like LexisNexis. Then the fourth C of credit is capital. Capital is your banking activity reports. Good, Mama back in the car. Capital is your banking activity reports, right, which are like early warning services, which shares all 20 years or the last 20 years of your banking activity daily, your debits and credits daily, and every bank account you have in the country. So you're telling me, Mr. Brown, that bankers and lenders are pulling my early warning services report or my banking activity report every time they pull my credit report? Yes, ma'am, to both of you. And this is why you can't fool the bank and go in there with a $50 reserve in every bank account you have in the country, but you got an 800 credit score, and you think the bank's going to give you a $250,000 business loan? No, they're not, because they see in your bank accounts you only have $50.
Right.
Okay? And then the fifth C of credit, which very few know how to explain, is called conditions. Now, I'm going to ask you and your mama, what does that sound like? Conditions. What is the bank looking at related to conditions?
Contracts or things like loans maybe that you...
No.
I'm thinking class or a certain category.
Ooh, Mama, is that you, Mama?
Yeah.
Is that you? Okay, Mama, you right there. You're right there. Conditions is related to, you remember back in the day, all right, I'm talking to your mama now, when they used to ask for your mother's maiden name on the credit application, right? Mm-hmm. What were they trying to find? They were trying to find out your generational wealth or your generational curses. Does your family, because they're trying to check the family tree, who begot who, and who begot who begot who, just like the Bible traces all the way back. Jesus' great-great-great-grandmother's name was Ruthless, or Ruth, and whoever doesn't like Ruth is ruthless, right? So they're trying to trace the family tree. So that's why they played like it's a security question on your credit application to ask for your mother's maiden name, but they know fruit doesn't fall too far from the tree. So if they check your mama, because your daddy ain't never home, your daddy left home, he's a rolling stone, so they checking to see where your mama at. What's your mama's zip code? Now, so the next thing that they check from the conditions is the zip code related to the family. What is the crime rate in the zip code where you live? What is the education rate? Is the crime rate double digits or single digits, right? Because if they give you too much money, you're eventually going to be spotted by people living better than them, and they're going to commit crimes against you. So they check the crime rate. Then they check the education rate. Are you surrounded with people that have just a high school diploma, or are they college graduates?
Wow.
Because what? A fool and his money will what? Always part. So if you're around a bunch of foolish people, birds of a feather flock together. You're going to mismanage your money. you're going to mismanage your money, right? So the conditions are related to the crime rate, the education rate, and then the property values in the area you live. If everyone in your community, their property values are underwater, eventually the community is going to go down, right? The employment in the community is going to go down, and you're going to go down with it. So we can't send you no large limit. You see that? And then these are 2 points, and then I'm going to stop and ask for questions. And these are 2 additional points that very few know about. Bankers and lenders look at the neighborhood credit score. Everyone that's in your neighborhood applied for credit. They applied for gas, electric, water. They applied for the domicile that they live in. They compile those scores for every member of your community to create an average score for the neighborhood. So when the banker looks at your neighborhood score and it's a 650, and the credit instrument that they are offering you requires a 720 credit score, you're, 60, 70 points beneath the prescribed score. So they don't send invitations for selections, pre-selections, or pre-approvals into that neighborhood. Wow. And then they also look at the city credit score, which is a compilation of all neighborhoods that comprise the city, and they average out each neighborhood score. So let's say there's 35 neighborhoods in the city. The neighborhood scores are an average of 650 each score. So now the city has a credit score of 650. So the city credit score, now bankers and lenders don't send information, pre-selections, or pre-approvals to the city, because the city credit score where you live is lower than what their prescribed credit score is to get that instrument. Okay, now ask me some questions.
Oh, that's good information right there.
Yeah, I'm going to take you higher. We ain't even 30,000 feet up yet. But ask me some questions on what I've given you. No, we're going to go higher, Mama. Come on, ask me some questions that I've already from what I've given you. Annie?
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
Okay, well, let me take you higher. Okay, let me take you higher.
So, go ahead, take me higher.
Okay, so now that you know that the 5 factors of your FICO score, that determines your what? Interest rate. Nope. Oh. Stay with me, Mama. That only determines your interest rate. The whole industry has made you believe that if you get your credit score to an 800, you can get anything you want. Right. I'm here to tell you I've been an 800 since 2009, and I could not get anything I wanted. My highest credit card limit, listen to this, out of 52 credit cards I had in my pocket, my highest credit card limit was $40,000. Wow. $40,000. Anybody that you know right now, mama, daughter, anybody that you know right now that has higher than a $40,000 credit card limit in their pocket, personal, I'll tell you why they have that. But the average person will never have more than $40,000. Name somebody you know that has more than a $40,000 credit card limit. Name one person.
Well, my friends, like my big brother, he has one, is I think a $250,000 credit limit.
Is that a credit card?
No, yes.
Is that a credit card?
I don't know. I think so.
Okay. All right. Because I'm going to share with you, if you haven't seen.
He's an accountant, but he's an accountant too.
Okay. I know a lot of accountants. Right, I know a lot of accountants, and I'm very excited for him if he has that limit. That I'm saluting him right now. But the FICO score, just to get back to where we're going, and then to move fastly through this, because I know you both have to be somewhere. The FICO score only determines your interest rate. That's what that score is for. It doesn't determine your credit limit. That's why anyone you talk to, banker, lender, credit issuer, mortgage professional, auto dealer, will ask you, what is your score? And they can almost guarantee you what tier you'll be approved for and what interest rate you could get approved for if your score is where you say it is. But when you ask them, well, what will my approval limit be? How much car can I buy? How much house can I buy? How much credit card can I get? And how much loan can I get? They'll say, oh, we won't know that until we have you fill out the credit application. What is a credit application? The credit application is a data report because the information on it is data. Okay? It's a data report. Okay? Now, once they tell you to submit that credit application, Then they're going to check the data bureaus to verify everything you said, which are the 5 C's of credit, which is the character, the capacity, the collateral, the capital, and the conditions. Now, under that, there's a 4th score that bankers and lenders use on that side called the wealth score. Wealth, W-E-A-L-T-H. Do either of you know what your wealth score is?
No.
Yeah. See, this is what the bankers use to keep you honest, because they know you're doing credit repair on the 5 factors of your FICO score, and they know you're coming into the bank 6 months ago you had bad credit, 6 months ago you had high utilization, 6 months ago you had too many inquiries, right? So they know you know that game. But the game that they know you don't know is the game Mr. Brown is sharing with you. You don't know the wealth score game, and you're not walking around thinking about the 5 C's of credit. And you're definitely not walking around thinking about the data bureaus. You just started doing that in the last 3 to 5 years. But you never knew how many they were. Now you know they're all associated with these 5 C's. There's about 30 data reports per C of credit, 30 reports for the character, 30 reports for the employment, which is capacity, 30 reports related to your collateral, the assets you own, 30 reports related to your banking activity, capital, and 30 reports related to the conditions. Now, the wealth score is 3 metrics, unlike the FICO score is 5 metrics. Now, this is where it gets weird. The wealth score is the acronym of the word law, L-A-W. It is the law of wealth. This is what the wealthy people follow to a prescription. And this is how they live their lifestyle to get points, because I've noticed that there were people in my office in the last 20 years of doing this. I've talked to thousands of people that had money. And guess what? The people that have money have lower credit scores than both of you do and have higher credit limits than everybody you know on everything, business loans and personal credit. How is it they do that with lower scores? Because they have a wealth score that's higher than 95% of the people on the planet. Now, let's look at the things that the wealthiest people buy to make sure that they have a wealth score. The acronym of the word law. The first letter of the word law is L. What is it that the wealthiest people on the planet all buy and got rich from before Bitcoin and all that? It starts with the L.
Land.
There you go. They are landlords.
Yeah.
They are not buying land for domicile or residential. They're buying lands to lease and to be lords over. All right, what's the second letter of the word law is A. What is it that the wealthiest people on the planet, which are the 5%ers, can buy, and 95% of the people on the planet can never buy? It starts with the A.
Wait a minute. Let me think about it.
I'll just help you. Aircraft. They all have their own private G4, G5 jets and jumbo planes.
Oh, I wouldn't have thought of that one. Okay.
I know. Now I'm going to bring you all the way in. The third letter of the word law is W. What is it the wealthiest people on the planet, the 5%ers, all buy, but 95% of us cannot get in our lifetime? Starts with a W. Watercraft. They have their own yachts. Now, what's the chance that any of us know somebody that is a landlord, a air lord, and a water lord, meaning they own acres and acres of land, own their own plane, and have a yacht, all at the same time?
No.
Name somebody you know. So isn't it funny that the richest people on the planet are doing the opposite of what we're doing, which is on the internet and on the news taunting how we have 800 credit scores, and that's how we're going to make it, but the richest people on the planet who have generation after generational wealth have never said they got wealthy because they had perfect credit scores in their family tree. They've never said that. You never see them say that. They actually wave at you from the third tier of their yacht on Labor Day, telling you they're going over to Cuba. Or they stand outside their jet and they tell you, oh, I'm going to go turn myself in at the courthouse, and they take a private jet to the courthouse.
Wow.
Right? Or they stand in their backyard with 300 cars back there, Rick Ross, and they'll tell you, come to my car show in my backyard. The biggest backyard we remember was Grandmama's house, where your uncle's car was in the back, broke down.
Right.
Right? Right? Only one car, and Grandmama couldn't get him to come get the car.
Right.
So they're operating, and the banks are reviewing these 5%ers based on the same way we look at people that have a Cuban link with some diamonds on it, or driving a Ferrari, right? Or got on a Philippe Patek watch. We're assessing those things to say, oh, he or she might have some money. But the bank is basing wealth on a score that is, if you have land, an airplane, and a yacht.
Wow.
And you get 2 points for owning land, 2 points for owning the airplane, and 2 points for owning the yacht. So the 20 years that I've been doing this, the people that had the higher credit score limit, or the higher credit limits, had a higher wealth score than their credit score. And this is how they got the credit limits. Now, their cost of money was more because they didn't have 800 scores, and they didn't care about it. But they had higher limits. So it's never been discrimination. It's been a score that you never followed, and you thought it was discrimination why people that didn't look like you got higher limits. No, it's not. It's based on the wealth score. So I wrote a book about that in 2016 that's in Barnes & Noble called The Wealth Score Expert, the fourth score bankers and lenders use to determine your credit worthiness. I'm only talking fast because I know I don't have a lot of time with you. I'm not a fast talker. Okay, any questions?
Gave me a lot of good information.
I ain't finished yet.
How can you help me? Yeah.
So, what's the bottom line process? So, what all do you get in this with your program?